What's up, traders? Before we dive into the video, I just want to quickly remind you guys about our Black Friday sale that is taking place from now until November 29th at 12 a.m. Eastern. You can now use the code BFCM, which stands for Black Friday Cyber Monday, to get 20% off everything site-wide other than one-on-one mentorship. So make sure to take advantage of that, and I hope to see you in the private community very soon. Cheers. Greetings, traders. Zach here from the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well and that you've had a good Friday. I have yet another scalping video for you guys, and I want to preface this video by saying that this is probably one of the better trades that I have taken in a while, mainly because I was able to add to this trade on a very nice pullback with some very high probability on my side throughout the entire setup. And I think that the theme of this scalping breakdown is going to be think differently than the herd. Now, what I mean by that is most people, for example, are never considering to add to their winning trades. Most people, as soon as they get into a trade that goes into their favor, they are immediately thinking where they should take profit to eliminate the pain of price reversing and going back and taking away that profit. So what I did in this trade is I did indeed pull some profit off, but then I re-added when my trade became even more valid. When I saw a signal that tells me that price is likely to continue to go in my favor, that is not a time where you should close the trade. That is a time where you should consider adding to your trade. We want to lean into our highest probability setups. And again, the herd, 90%, 95% of retail losing traders never consider adding to their winning trades, and they simply only add to their losers, which leads them down the path of doom and destruction. So with that said, let's dive into this trade here. It was a trade where I was able to lock in about $3,800 in 10 minutes on NQ. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out, and I will break down my thought process during this trade. I will break down the technical factors that I saw that initially got me into the trade, that made me take a little bit of profit, and then got me back in for some extra contracts. So first and foremost here, you can see that we have a break of a probe. And a probe, for those of you guys not familiar, is just a diagonal trend line. And typically when a probe breaks, especially around major levels like you see we have here, we have settlement from the 16th as well as the regular trading hours low from the 16th. And we also have the London opening range, which is right here. So you can see that price was basically smacking up against this London opening range area, as well as the settlement and the low. And what I was looking at here is that price was not able to get accepted back above the London opening range or these major profile levels. Now, when I use market profile, I typically am doing my best to focus on where price is getting rejected from or accepted above. There was very clear rejection below these prior settlement levels. We had broken yesterday's value area levels and the overnight POC from the most recent session, telling me that although we did have this up move where this probe was created, that generally speaking, sellers were in control because we could not move and hold above major profile levels that were in our daily trade plan today. Side note, if you guys are not familiar, we release daily trade plans based on market profile, which are released publicly every single day around 10 a.m. Eastern in our public Facebook group, as well as on our Instagram and our Twitter. And we release those 30 minutes before market open for our private community. So what I was looking at here was that we had a push up around this current point of control level, right? We had broken the POC. We had actually broken the initial balance low as well as the overnight low from the 17th. And we were moving up to retest this current point of control area. Now, my thought was that if we could not move above this current point of control and hold above it, that we were very likely to see further rejection. And we had a naked point of control down here, which you can see on the profile. So that is this level right here, and that is the 11,633 level. You can also see that right here on my candlestick chart right here. So that is a point of control that was created in the prior session that has not been revisited since that was established in a subsequent session. So it was essentially an area of dense liquidity from yesterday that we had not tapped yet today. And my thought was, if we can't get back above the current POC, we're very likely headed to the prior POC to test that, right? And that was about a 60-point move from the current POC to yesterday's. So what I had here was I had bearish divergence forming, and you'll see that I waited for the bearish divergence to confirm with candlestick structure before I entered. So I'm going to go ahead and click play here, and I will break this down for you guys the best that I possibly can. So right now I am waiting. I am being patient to see if we do indeed get this current candle to close below the low of the prior candle, and that is my trigger. If you guys are trading my strategies, if you guys have watched enough of my trading breakdowns or my scalping content in general, you would know that I am always looking for either a local top to get short, a local top to exit a long trade, or a local low to get long, or a local low to exit a short trade. So I'm waiting to see, and I actually wanted to have further confirmation with two bearish candles, one bearish candle closing below the low of the prior bearish candle to further confirm this trade idea, this bearish divergence here. You can see we have price making higher highs and the oscillators making lower highs, and that is bearish divergence. Okay, so I am being very patient. I am watching the tick counter, and I'm waiting for price to close below the low of the prior bar. You can also see that I'm drawing a probe here, which is just yet another diagonal trend line. We got that candle closed. You can see that I am in for 4 contracts short. I am popping my stop loss above the prior POC because my thought was if we were to break above the prior POC, very likely to revisit Fibonacci pivot PP and these higher market profile levels. So as you guys will see, this was not a comfortable trade to sit in. This took a lot of patience. It took a lot of trust in my edge to get in on the local top and basically immediately be in, $500-600 of drawdown, kind of bouncing back and forth. And this is something that is very important. A lot of times, even if you get into a very high probability setup, price will move around, price will put you in drawdown, it will test your patience, it will test your trust in your own edge, and that is something that is absolutely vital to keep in mind. We must trust our edge, we must understand and make sure that we have a clear area of technical invalidation, which in this case was above the point of control from today, and that is why I do not falter when I get into a trade that I know pertains to my edge, but might go right against me, right? So many times I have got into good setups. I have seen price come right to my stop loss, not stop me out, and then move swiftly in my direction. So this is something that I want to make very clear to you guys and really encourage you to practice trusting your edge when it is the most uncomfortable. Do not set expectations for yourself. If price, goes against you, but it's not stopping you out, don't close the trade because it's uncomfortable. Let it play out. Trust your edge. That is truly what it's all about. So I'm going to speed the trade up just a tiny bit here. You can see that I sat in drawdown for a while, and then we started to get pullback in the direction of my trade. So at this point, the price is the price action is simply just confirming that my trade idea is correct, and I am letting the trade do its job. I'm letting the market do its job. When you get into a trade that's pertaining to your edge, stop thinking about it so hard and let price do its job, okay? So that is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm waiting. I'm basically looking to see if we can come down and test these prior lows, and if we do break those prior lows, then we're very likely to continue to the downside. And let me go ahead and mute this audio right here because I was talking on stream while I was in this trade, and everybody was, enthusiastic about me getting into such a good setup and seeing it move in my favor. And of course, a lot of people were joining me on this setup as it was talked out and called out live in our Discord. This trade was taken live on stream in the Trading Network private Discord, where we stream every single day starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and it is a two-way chat. So private Discord members can join the chat, they can turn their microphone on, they can ask us questions, they can talk out these trade setups with us in real time, and it is an immensely valuable community to really strengthen your growth as a trader and speed up your growth as a trader. When you trade with professionals every single day, and even if you don't talk, if you're a fly on a wall, you're going to learn a lot. And I'll show you a little bit of a sneak peek into the Discord towards the end of this video, and maybe even some feedback from some newer members. So you guys see that, there's not really much that I have to do at this point. I am allowing the trade to continue to work in my favor, already up about $1,600 on this trade. And I am moving my stop loss, a lot of times I will trail my stop loss on the price line. So what you can do, if you guys are not familiar, is you can attach an order to an indicator, right? So I attached this buy stop to the price line with a tick offset. So as you saw there, as price moves in my favor, the stop loss slowly gets pulled down, right? And you'll see that it happens actually very quickly later in this video. But let me talk you through my thought process. I am considering that if we put in a local low, perhaps I will take some profit. Perhaps I will take the entire trade off. But until we put in a local low, I am continuing to let this trade play out in my favor the very best that I can. And I've seen these setups work out so many times over a large sample size that I am not worried. I am not scared to give back my profit. Even though I might be trailing my stop loss, at this point, I am looking for places to add because my narrative is correct. Price could not move back above the point of control and hold above it and get acceptance above it. So we are likely to get further downside pressure and confirms that sellers remain in control. Okay, so right now I am waiting for a local low to decide whether I am going to close the entire trade or take off, a percentage of what I have on here. And once again, a local low is basically just having a candle, a bullish candle, close above the top of the prior bar, right? So if this candle right here closes above the top of the prior one, that is my contingency plan in a lot of instances to either take a partial profit or close the trade. In this case, I took partial profit. So as soon as this local low confirms on this candle close and I watch the tick counter to see how close I am, boom, I'm out for half. And then I switch my stop loss to 2 contracts because, of course, I am only short for 2 at this point, right? So with that said, the trade idea is still correct. And you'll see me move my stop loss back above an area of technical invalidation because I decide that I am going to try to re-enter this trade or add to this trade, right? I'm still short for 2. So I'm looking for an advantageous spot to add to this position. And my thought was, if we have the same type of reaction to these next profile levels, just as we did to point of control, right? We had a break, a retest, bearish divergence, and a rejection. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add contracts on if we get a break and retest or a rejection of the opportunity zone, which is right here, as well as the initial balance low from today and the overnight low from last night, right? You can see that we have 2 major profile levels within less than 5 points. 1176 is the IB low, and 11676 is the IB low, and 11672 is the overnight low. And you can also see that right here on the profile. I know my camera is covering a little bit of the profile right now, and I apologize for that. But this is right here. That's the overnight low. That's the IB low right there. And that is what we are looking for. So rejection is my signal to add. And you can see that I do indeed have my stop loss above these major levels. I've changed it back to 2 just for the time being to, make sure that if price spikes up and hits that order that I'm not long for 2 contracts instead. I want to make sure that everything is in order. And you can see that I have my take profit down here right above yesterday's point of control, 11,633. You can see that on the profile right there. So the market profile helps you and helps me on a daily basis have a narrative, not only for the day, but for individual trades. And you can see here, I have a sell limit order. So my thought was, if price comes down, closes below this, then I am going to add to the trade. Or if price pops up and rejects and shows me good candlestick structure, I am going to add. So I'm thinking of multiple areas to add to this trade. Again, we want to think differently than the herd. Most people are getting scared when price is moving back towards their entry, and they will inevitably puke their trade up here, close it, and then watch it go down in their favor and see that their trade idea was actually correct, but they don't have the confidence in their edge to either not do anything or add to their trade. Most people are fearful when they should be hopeful, and most people are hopeful when they should be fearful. And what I mean by that is most people are fearful when they are in a trade that's going in their direction, fearful of giving profit back. And most people are hopeful in the scenario where they get into a trade and it goes against them, and they are consistently hoping, please Please go back in my favor. Please put me back in the green. I can't possibly experience any more pain. And that's what we do. You know, as humans, we have this messed up lizard brain that puts us into fight or flight mode when we're trading. And we know when we are in fight or flight mode, the main idea is to avoid pain at all costs. And you have to flip the script on that. You have to understand that we need to think differently. We need to retrain our mind compared to how we, how our brain has worked for the entirety of most of our lives, right? Most people, they avoid pain. They aren't interested or comfortable with experiencing pain and understanding that you have to be stoic and you have to allow the probability to work in your favor. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. And I know that I am talking a lot, but I think it's very important to get this point across. At the very least, I'm not saying add to every single trade, but I'm saying to consider where you would add to a trade as opposed to where you would take yourself out of a winning trade too quickly, or at the very, very least, stop considering or stop thinking about adding to losing trades. It's such a terrible idea. It's such a terrible habit. And that is why most people lose. Most people lose because they're adding to their losers. They're moving their stop loss when they're in a losing trade. And instead, they should be adding to winners. And they should be leaning in to their edge when they are trading well and when they are consistently seeing setups that are working in their favor or that pertain to their edge. So you can see here that I added one contract on that sell limit, and you will see shortly after this that I add one more contract after we have another local top, right? So as soon as these candles close and confirm, right, as soon as this candle closes below the low of that, that's technically another lower high. Here's a high. Here's a very subtle lower high. Boom. I add one as soon as that candle closes. I am in for 4 contracts short once again. And I will allow you guys to watch this trade play out. You can see that I am changing my stop loss back to 4 contracts. I'm starting to trail my stop loss because I know that if we do get a push below this low, we're very likely to get an impulse reaction, which is really from a bunch of people getting long here, long this whole way up, and then having those stop losses run. And you know that when there are people long and they have their stop losses below a major level, well, how are they getting out of that long trade? A short order, right? Or a sell order. So that's exactly what I want. I want to be taking advantage of people getting stopped out. You can see the speed, the velocity of price starts to pick up tremendously. This is regular, normal speed. This is 1x. This is not sped up. And you can see how important it is to understand how liquidity works. If you can get into a trade and take advantage of the liquidity runs or the stop runs where people are getting stopped out, that is going to be such a powerful thing for any of you guys watching. Understand where the herd has their stop losses and take advantage of that. Be on the other side of those trades. So you can see how quickly price rips down. I'll back it up just very, very briefly here. You can see I'm in for 4, up about $2,000 at this point. I'm out for 2 right there. I even tried to click on my stop loss a few times, and price was moving so quickly that it took me a few clicks to even get rid of that order. So at this point, I'm out for half of my position because we have run through, we have tapped that point of control, that 33 area, and that was my initial target. So now anything left is basically just a cherry on top, if you will. We're now below the point of control right here. You can see that. And I am looking for a local low to close my trade. Again, it's always important to have contingency plans. It's always important to make sure that you have a plan on when you are going to close, what you look for to close. And right here, there was the local low where I took half profit. Right here, that's where I re-added on and was short for 4 once again. You can see the target right here was the prior POC around 635-ish. That's where I took 2 contracts off. And here is our local low where I'm closing, and I end up market closing the rest of the trade here because I didn't get filled on those limits quickly enough. And after that trade, up $4,572.50, and a majority of my P&L for the day was on this single trade right here. Now, in closing, I want to once again remind you guys to think differently. The point of this video is to encourage you guys to think, what would most people do here? Most people are adding to their losing trades. Once again, most people are not considering adding to their winning trades. And I want you to flip the script on that. I encourage you to consider, where would I add on this trade? Price is moving in my favor. What would be a good spot, or what would be good technical confirmation to add? For me, it was a break and retest of more market profile levels right there, right? That just shows me that the sellers remain in control and that my edge is continuing to work out, and that my narrative of the prior overnight low breaking, as well as this initial balance level breaking, was likely going to trigger a very nice impulse move down into this point of control from yesterday, the naked point of control from yesterday, which once again are typically very dense areas of liquidity where there is great reaction. And if price breaks below a market profile level and there's nothing to hold it back in between these levels, you will see that price gets sucked into these profile levels more often than not, and it just presents amazingly high probability opportunity. So with that said, I know that this is a longer video. I know you guys are used to the trade breakdowns being a little shorter, but I think that I was able to provide a lot of good information here. And really the theme is so important. You know, think differently than the herd. That's how you become that 5 to 10% of profitable traders, and that's how you leave the herd behind. That's how you use their liquidity to your advantage every single day in the markets. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to break down to you guys and give you another little sneak peek into the Discord is how not only do I break these trades down on stream, I break them down in our trade setups channel, right? So what I'm doing here is I am discussing the ideas behind the trade, the confluence factors behind the trade, the initial entries, where I pulled targets at, etc. So you can see here, the main theme of this trade is add to your winners if the narrative supports it. Right? I had an idea that if we broke the POC and we retested it and couldn't get accepted back above it, that there was likely further downside pressure ahead. And that is exactly what we got. So this was an NQ short on the 377 tick chart with an add-on. Our initial entry was a break and retest with bearish divergence at the current point of control, as well as the second lower deviation of VWAP. I pulled 2 contracts at the first local low, which was around 20 points. Then I re-added back those 2 contracts after we had another break and retest of the current initial balance low, as well as the overnight low from November 17th at around 11,663. I pulled 2 contracts, once again, at my original target of the naked point of control around 11,630, 11,640. And then I closed the final 2 contracts at the next low, which was also the current value area low, for a total of 50 points from my initial entry and 30 points from the re-add in the opportunity zone. Trust the edge. Here are the confluence factors. We had bearish divergence on the initial entry. We had trading with the trend. Sellers were in control. We were in the 377 tick op zone to the downside. We had a local top, both on my initial entry and on my re-add, right? A local top is my trigger for an entry when I get short, no matter what. That is my final trigger. If I don't have a local top, I'm not taking it. We had major levels, current point of control, current initial balance low, and the overnight low on the add-on. We had momentum oscillator confluence showing pressure to the downside. We had volatility oscillator confluence showing a likelihood of volatility expanding. And we had a pro break. Look at all of these different confluence factors. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 confluence factors in my favor. That is an A+ trade setup through and through. If you have this many pieces of confluence in your favor supporting your trade idea, don't even think about it. Just hit the button and let price do the work. You saw how close price got to stopping me out multiple times. I didn't falter. I didn't close. I didn't move my stop to break even. None of that. I allowed the edge to work itself out. When you have a high probability system, when you see it work out over and over and over again, over a large sample size of trades, it becomes autopilot. You don't even have to think about it. I refer to it as something like trading nirvana, where your brain is almost entirely empty. There is nothing going on. There's no back and forth fighting dialogue between the devil and the angel on your shoulder, so to speak. There's nothing. You're just taking your edge. It works or it doesn't. We cannot control the outcome of a trade. We can only control whether or not we are trading our edge. This trade idea was never invalidated. It only became more and more valid, which is why I added, and I think this is a very important piece that a lot of traders are missing from their system. So you can see here, I do this all the time, right? Here's another A+ setup that I broke down, a nice little long in the opportunity zone, good candlestick structure, good oscillator structure, volatility oscillators in our favor, major levels, etc. So I do this for very, very high probability setups. I do this for the trades that I take on stream. So it's not just watch it on stream and poof, it's gone. It's watch it play out in real time on stream with me and then break it down in the trade setups channel. And then you can go and reference and you can practice. You can even retake these trades on playback and really get a feel for what it's like to have all of these factors in your favor. So I hope this helps, and I think that this is something, once again, that a lot of people need to implement into their system. Just trusting their edge, considering doing what the herd will never consider doing, which in this case is adding to a winning trade. So with that said, as always, I want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to watch this content. If you do enjoy what you see and you find value in this stuff, please feel free to like, subscribe, and click that bell notification to be notified every single time that we post videos here on the channel. If you guys are interested in learning more about what we do here at the Trading Network, if you guys are interested in joining our private community where you can watch me and the TTN Pro team trade live every single day at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, check out thetradingnetwork.io, where you can purchase access to our most popular product, the TTN Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime Discord access, the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, and access to the Trading Network proprietary indicator package. You can, of course, purchase all of these products standalone, even for payment plans as well on our website, in addition to one-on-one mentorship with me. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot us an email at info@thetradingnetwork.io. You can drop a comment down below, message us on Instagram, and we will help any way we possibly can. Thank you guys again. I hope to see you in our private community soon, and I look forward to the next video. Cheers.